Hello, thanks for tuning in to Insights into Consciousness here on A1R Radio. I'm here today to talk to you about personality disorders. And let me tell you why I'm here to talk to you about personality disorders, because I have had some experience dealing with personality disorders through my work. And I also have noticed the increasingly high amount of people who have dealt with people who are either toxic or have features of different types of personality disorders. If somebody is dealing with somebody with a personality disorder, usually they're having to research this on their own, and they probably already have some sort of information on it. If they've recognized signs and they've gone into it and have, even YouTube or Google can give somebody quite a bit of information on personality disorders. What is a personality disorder? A personality disorder is a psychological model, basically, and it has symptoms, and it has specific ways that a human functions. Their brain works in a specific pattern with certain behaviors, and they all have to, according to the DSM-5, they all have to meet a certain criteria of diagnostic personality disorder symptoms. So the ones that seem to be the most problematic, and I'm not a personality disorder specialist. However, when I was doing my meditation before tonight's show, I had a clear answer to just delve into the personality disorders and to go through why we need to know about these disorders and how this can benefit and protect us and our families. So if you have somebody that you know who, or you've ever been around, worked for somebody in your family where they've had issues with their impulsivity, their temper. Everybody has the problem with temper every once in a while. This is more like it's very dramatic, very impulsive, and very erratic. So these are usually the cluster B type personality disorders that really, really disturb many families, many communities, many workplaces. So this is why I wanted to do a show on this today, because I keep running into people who come in for readings or who have dealt with family members that have had personality disorders. And there's features of personality disorders in some people, which means there's a spectrum. This means that somebody can have a few features, let's say, of narcissistic personality disorder or just narcissism. Some people can have symptoms of different personality disorders. That doesn't mean they're full-fledged, like, let's say, a narcissist, or a borderline personality disorder is another one that's very difficult for people to kind of know what to do when they're with somebody or around or living around somebody with borderline personality disorder. First, I think I'd just like to touch on borderline. Borderline personality disorder is, you want to Google this because I don't have enough time to go all through it today. It's very, very difficult to deal with. It's ups and downs. It's a lot of suicidal ideation. It's a lot of victim mode. It has a lot to do with deep scars. And these people have a lot of trauma, usually in their early childhood, child abuse, things like that. The next personality disorder I wanted to go over is narcissistic personality disorder. Narcissistic personality disorder has to do with somebody who is also very, very erratic, very angry much of the time, unpredictable. They have lots of different types of interesting ways of dealing with their emotions, meaning they can be very angry and they can be very, very difficult to be around or to deal with. They tend to manipulate more than work with you. The last is ASPD, antisocial personality disorder. This is, again, a spectrum. There's also certain different ways to go over it. Sociopathy, psychopathy. This is something that is our worst personality disorder. That's the most difficult, especially for mental health professionals to deal with, because it is so it's not misunderstood, but it's more or less they don't know how to treat it. There really isn't a type of treatment for it. Same with narcissism. Borderline personality disorder usually can coincide or mirror histrionic personality disorder, which is a whole other gamut, a little more rare. Borderline is much more common and much more treatable. Borderline is when somebody is can usually be treated with DBT, dialectical behavioral therapy, which has been very successful in treating borderline personality disorder. Delving into DBT, because dialectical behavior therapy did not exist even 20 years ago, and there's new ways of treating these personality disorders that gives us some hope. So these are just things I want to throw out there for people, for folks at home who, for when you need to maybe get answers with somebody that you're dealing with who's difficult. If you have a child or family member that you're misunderstanding, you can take them in to, maybe get evaluated. This runs in families. It has patterns. So, basically personality disorders on the spiritual realm, what my experience lately and in the past year or so has been that I've been able to delve into it a little bit with people in the spiritual realm doing medium work. And most of the message I've gotten about personality disorders is that much of the time it is environmental. It is not chosen behaviors. It is a predisposed wiring of the brain that existed when the person was born some of the time, meaning their brain literally was not formed properly. They have a deformity in the brain. They have a developmental issue, meaning somebody with ASPD, antisocial personality disorder. These are the Jeffrey Dahmers. Okay, these are the ones that can be that bad. Not always. Most of the time, they're high functioning. They function in society. Again, it's all a spectrum. These individuals have a brain that was not fully developed. Narcissistic personality disorder, usually, yes, it's genetic, so it has to do with brain wiring like any disorder, but it also has to do with environmental issues, upbringing, either being very spoiled growing up, getting too much of what one wants, or being completely neglected. So it can go either way. Same with borderline, neglect, abuse. So what I wanted to touch on is that these spirits that have crossed over, that have had to deal with these personality disorders, either having experienced it firsthand in their own personal life and being diagnosed, or maybe never being diagnosed but dealing with it in their life, or the people who have dealt with people who've had personality disorders, there is actually a reason behind why somebody will have it. And their struggles with it, not being able to connect with others, never feeling love, or having difficulties attaching to others and forming healthy bonds and relationships. So these are some of the things that I just felt really moved to talk about today. I've been exposed to this a lot the last few weeks, and I just really wanted to touch on that. So mainly the message here is that these personality disorders are much of the time not chosen. Of course, everybody has a choice to do right or wrong, but it's just something for people to be aware of. And I urge everybody to Google and to research antisocial personality disorder, psychopathy, also sociopathy, as well as narcissistic personality disorder, and borderline personality disorder, which can also mirror or be very closely tied to histrionic personality disorder or mirror histrionic personality disorder. And a lot of these disorders oftentimes have depression enmeshed in them, along with past trauma, PTSD, things like that. So I'd like to take a caller, and I'd like to do a reading today on the air. We have Amy from, where was it, Manchester, England? Is that it?
Yeah. That's right.
Hi, how are you?
I'm all right, thank you. Well, it's interesting to hear an American accent.
Okay. So, how can I help you today? Do you have a certain question or topic you'd like to focus on?
Well, I'm thinking actually, I've got a good one. At the moment, I'm big into, like using law of attraction and stuff. And at the moment, well, for quite a few months really, I've been actively trying to manifest like a romantic partner into my life. Someone who's a kind of a soulmate of some kind, really, as well. So I guess really, my first question is, about whether to know whether I'm kind of on the right track towards kind of attracting this person into my life, and if there's anything that I guess I need to know that is good to know before this woman I'm trying to manifest sort of comes into my life, if there's any growth that I need to do or anything that I need to be aware of or anything really.
Okay. So if you could speak more slowly, that would be great, just because your accent, it's just hard for me to understand unless you speak a little more slowly. But I did hear you say that you're asking about a soulmate and if you are using the law of attraction appropriately, or if there's anything else that you need to do to attract a soulmate.
Yeah. Because what it is, I've been told by quite a few sort of mediums and psychics that, like I say, this partner who I'm manifesting will appear at some point in the physical to me, sort of at some point next year, like spring, summer next year. Mm-hmm. Well, that's what I sense anyway.
Okay.
Like intuitively, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, basically, what I'm feeling is that this is basically the thing that I'm getting for you, is that I feel that you really want a partner to, you want to attract that partner to kind of get to the happy place. And really what I'd like to delve into is getting to your happy place where you feel really, really great, really, you're dealing with any emotional issues before you step into a relationship.
Yeah.
And so the reason why is because I feel like you are attracting, what I'm getting is that you are attracting the right person. The work that needs to be done beforehand is your emotional work. So since you are using the law of attraction right now currently to attract an appropriate, kind, loving, good relationship that feels good and is healthy, that's why it's taking longer, because you are attracting the right person. You could go down and meet the first jerk on the street, and you'd be in a relationship, but it wouldn't be healthy. And that's why it's taking longer, because you are being successful in the way that it should be progressing. You are being successful in attracting your soulmate, but the hard part about attracting the appropriate things that are good for us is that sometimes it takes longer. It's more work.
Yeah.
So, I really commend you for using the law of attraction and really doing this the right way, because I feel like in the past you've had some bad experiences with some people that were more or less it just wasn't a good experience. Is that correct? It was really pretty negative.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
Yeah. I just feel like once you've been through that, it takes some time to get into a really healthy, good place to be attracting a really good, healthy mate. So the way that I like to think about it is be what you want to attract.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah.
You put a framework up of who you want to attract. You can even write down all the things that you want in the relationship or who you want this person to be. And you look at that, framework that you've written about and all of your detailed information about this person that you'd like to attract. And then you work on being what you want to attract, everything on your page that you want to be those things, so that you will attract the same. So that attraction, law of attraction, you will attract like.
Yeah, because really, recently I noticed I seem to attract women with problems, emotional issues, who have problems sort of looking after themselves and taking care of themselves, and that's the sort of thing that I noticed that I'm attracted to.
Right. Yeah. And what I'd like, it's interesting because today I'm doing a little bit of a show on, these different personality disorders. So what I'd like you to do is to research, Google borderline personality disorder. So I feel like you have attracted in the past these partners with borderline personality disorder.
Yeah.
It's very, very important for you to research what the signs are so that you can avoid it and to know exactly how to deal with, your own trauma and why you're attracting these specific personalities, and just working through that. I don't think it would take you long. I really do think that if you really worked on this and looked at the facts, you could even do a lot online. But if you wanted to get a therapist, you could work with somebody that you like. If you really feel like you connect with a therapist, you could do it that way too. And just research what borderline personality disorder is, why people have it, how long it takes to treat. These are not partners that will straight away just be better because you're in a relationship with them. The minute you're in a relationship with them, it all goes downhill. And they start seeing their true colors. Then they start splitting, which is seeing somebody as either good or evil. And really, it's a developmental issue. It's a developmental delay. That's usually what toddlers or children do, is they split. They either see somebody as evil or good. And, that can be very problematic in relationships, because one day you're the good person and one day you're the evil person. And that's really hard for you as a partner to deal with on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I've attracted a lot of people who fit that kind of description, really. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of really what I've been trying to do for a long time is I'm trying my hardest to, develop sort of loving myself and trying to give the love that I would give to somebody else to myself. And try and be comfortable in myself and, grounded in myself, etc. Really. Which I work on every day. So, and just trying to do things to sort of lift my vibrations as well every day, and then keep doing like the growth work all the time. But sometimes I can get too kind of what's the word? Too intense with it. I think sometimes I just need to lighten up a little bit and just sort of relax a bit and just have more fun. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah, and you also, I am getting that you could work on your relationships, like just giving yourself what you did not get from mother figure.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm ready to take my next caller. Thank you so much for calling in. Good luck with everything.
Oh, thank you.
Okay. Have a wonderful day. Next, I have Kelly from Michigan.
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
Great. How are you this evening?
I'm just fine. How can I help you tonight?
Well, we're in a transition, and we've been trying to sell our house, and it has been for sale since June. I want to know if you see anything happening soon.
So is the reason why it hasn't sold because it is it kind of a higher priced house, or is it something about the price of the house?
Yes, but we just lowered it.
Okay. So I'm basically saying that right now the market is at a place where in your area where it's just tricky. It's like everybody kind of wanted to sell because the market was good, and you're kind of caught at the top of that, where it's, everybody kind of wants to sell it for the price that's a little higher, but people are getting kind of like, whoa, this is getting a little out of hand. I can't really afford that. Does that make sense?
Yes, but it's not really that high. I mean, it's high, but I don't feel it's like major high.
Mm-hmm. Right. It's just that game. It's the market game, and you're kind of at the apex of it. Well, it's almost at the apex. It's not quite there. It's just where people are starting to slow down because they're hoping that they'll start to fall. So I think that I'm getting staging the house. Did you already stage the house and have open houses?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So for some reason, I'm getting staging the house. There's something about having maybe somebody else come and stage the house, because I feel like there's something about the layout that people come in, they're just not preferring it because of the way that it's staged for some reason. Are you familiar with Feng Shui?
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm getting that the living room and dining and kitchen areas need to kind of have a Feng Shui. If you kind of look into Feng Shui, just to kind of see the general, I don't want you to get too crazy about it, because I know it's stressful to have to now go in and, after you've already been trying to sell your house.
It's all been done. And actually, the new person is having an open house this weekend because the regular realtor can't be there. So she's having a substitute sit in.
Perfect. So this weekend, I'm hoping that this next open house is going to be successful then. So basically that's what I was seeing, is that somebody came in and did all of that. So now that's a sign, that's your signal, your message that this is going to be much more successful, because your price is going down and the house has been kind of like restaged and feng shuied. And now you're going to have your next open house. So that was basically just the message that now you're going to do better and be more successful at selling it. So I mean, I don't see it selling right away, but I see it selling within 2 to 3 months.
2 to 3 months more?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, man, I'm depressed now.
I'm sorry.
We were hoping it was sooner. We were hoping.
Well, that's when everything closes and it's all said and done. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, do you see anything else?
I keep seeing the yard with the house, the curb appeal. It sounds silly, but it might even be therapeutic for you while you're waiting to give it a little more curb appeal. I mean, it's basically just something, the waiting game, and how you can feel better in the meantime. Because I know it's a lot of stress. It's a very stressful thing to have to go through. It's very stressful to have to want to sell your house. It has to do with the market and just how people are buying and selling in your area right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I wish I had better news. I'm sorry, but I really do think that the more you can kind of work, there's emotional. Have you lived in the house for very long?
19 years. It has curb appeal. It's very beautiful. Everything is going for it. It's just finding the right buyer.
I feel like it is a really beautiful house. And what I'm seeing, it's interesting because what I'm seeing is that it was like an energy of like having a lot of emotional investment in this property and in this house, that it's kind of been a little bit sentimental. So it's been hard to kind of let go of it in an emotional sense.
Mm-hmm. We're excited, but we just never thought it would take this long, really, to tell you the truth.
Mm-hmm.
We just thought it would go much faster than it is.
Yeah, it's interesting because everything works in the right timing, and there's always a reason for it. There's always a reason, and you'll know after the house is sold what the reason was. I think that everything's going to work out in your best interest, that it will, once it's done, you're going to have this huge sigh of relief. You're just going to move on, and then you'll forget about it. It'll be like it never happened. Like when you have a baby, you have this horrible, labor or whatever, and then now you have the baby, and it's just like, oh, labor. You just forget about it, and it'll be like a thing of the past in just a few months, 2 to 3 months.
All right. Do you have any idea what the holdup is, or like why why you're thinking there's a reason it's not selling, like a time frame of thing. Is like, do you see an event or something, anything do you see?
It's basically, I think it basically has to do with your family dynamic and where you're going. So I think it'll work out for the better in that aspect. I like, but for job or family, or if you have kids that need to move or whatnot, something within the family dynamic that will benefit from it taking just a little bit longer. It seems like craziness, I know, but there's something there that will work out for the better because of it.
Okay, none of it makes sense to me right now.
I feel like it'll make sense later, and then a lot of times readings, when I say things to people, they're just, what are you talking about? And then later they either text me or they call me or whatever, and they say, oh, this is what it meant. That's why you said that.
Yeah, because my husband's been working out of town since April.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I'm wondering, and my daughter lives in Denver, so I just don't understand what it can be. We've been trying to figure it out.
Well, I think a lot of it has to do with maybe the marriage. So your husband. So the emotional aspect of it, living in the house for so long, it's going to happen. It's going to work out great. But my time is up, so I'm going to let you go. Thank you so much for calling in.
Thank you.
Good luck with everything.
Have love and light, and thank you so much.
Same to you. Thank you. Okay, so today we had a couple of readings. One was on borderline personality disorder. I got a lot of energy from borderline with these relationships, and I'm just hoping that people can investigate it a little bit, educate themselves, know how to tell the signs. A lot of ASPD, in addition, is that they want a pity party. So watch out for that pity party. Watch out for love bombing. Watch out for the whirlwind relationships. I'm Anna Olsen. I hope you have a wonderful day. Thanks so much for listening, and we'll see you again soon.